Wellity well, welcome back to another Lore of the Cards Quickie. How quick, you ask? Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more Lore of the Cards. Ha ha ho! Aren't I a riot? We're looking into a bit of shaman lore today, starting with the new hero Rastakhan, going into some big bad voodoo, and then the Serpent Ward. How's that last one relate to the others, you say? You'll find out. Rastakhan is perhaps the oldest troll in all of Azeroth, his life extended due to being blessed by Rezan, the Lower of Kings. The 200-year-old troll has sat atop his golden throne as king of the Zandalari trolls on their island of Zandalar for much of his life. Holding such power for so long has seen the king accumulate many enemies, 46 assassination attempts being carried out, even by the king's own wife, but the mighty Rastakhan was sure to make them pay. The Zandalari, probably the most respected of the troll tribes, rarely ventured far from their island. When word reached the shores of Zandalar that the evil bloodlower Hakkar the Soulflayer was seeking to gain physical form upon Azeroth, Rastakhan sent his people to aid adventurers in stopping a lower whom he believed could bring about a new dark age for troll kind. Hakkar was successfully stopped, and what remained of him, his heart, banished by the troll Molthor. After this brief period of aid, the Zandalari would return to isolation. Many years later, the prophet Zul would come before his king. He told Rastakhan of a coming destructive event. Zul saw an armoured dragon, its jaws engulfing Azeroth, and he would return with more visions for his king. Zul had seen the island of Zandalar swallowed by the sea. Both Rastakhan and his council did not believe Zul. While the prophet had a gift for seeing the future, they thought he was grandstanding, making it seem worse than it was in a bid for more status and power. Zul suggested that the Zandalari leave their home, seek to unite the troll tribes and create a new empire. Zul's nightmarish visions were beginning to wear on Rastakhan, so to shut up his prophet, the king gave Zul his wish, supplying the prophet with several of the kingdom's largest ships. Zul's visions proved true, and when the Black Dragon aspect Deathwing returned to Azeroth from another plane known as Deepholm, his arrival sparked the Cataclysm, tearing Azeroth apart. Zandalar also began to sink beneath the sea. Rastakhan's people looked to him for aid, but it was only Zul who was prepared for the Cataclysm. Rastakhan threw his full support behind Zul's bid to unite all trolls, though he did not always agree with Zul's methods. For example, resurrecting an old ally of the Zandalari, the tyrannical Mogu, Lei Shen. Rastakhan tentatively welcomed the Horde to his shores at the start of the Battle for Azeroth expansion. While his council were disgusted by the presence of these outsiders and bayed for their blood, the Horde heroes had saved Zul and Rastakhan's daughter, Talanji, from the clutches of the Alliance. The Horde wanted the might of the Zandalari navy for their war with the Alliance, but the king would not give them his aid. The Horde would need to prove themselves. Zul had had enough of his ruler, seeing Rastakhan and the Lower as weak. The prophet looked to create a new empire under a new god, the old god G'huun, who was accidentally created by the Titans as they experimented to try and find out about the old gods. When Zul betrayed Rastakhan, he almost killed the king. Luckily, Rastakhan was saved by loyalists and brought back from the brink of death, Samdi giving up the king's soul after some persuasion from Rezan. With the king revived, an attack was launched on Zul, but Rezan perished. Broken and with nowhere else to go, Rastakhan bound with Samdi, the Lower lending the king his strength. In exchange, the king promised he and the rest of his line would praise and be bound to the Lower of Death. With Samdi's aid, Rastakhan slew Zul, but not before the old god minion Mithrax broke the final seal that held G'huun, deep in the city of Zuldazar. Ultimately, G'huun would be stopped. Rastakhan acts as a boss in the Siege of Zuldazar raid for Alliance players, where he will be defeated and slain. Big Bad Voodoo has been around since Warcraft 3 and was the ultimate ability of the Shadowhunter hero. The Shadowhunter would channel the spell, which made all friendly units within range invincible to attack. Only the Shadowhunter himself could be damaged while channeling Big Bad Voodoo. This was a particularly potent ability if playing a team game online, as the Shadowhunter didn't only make his own units invulnerable, his allies were too. While not a player spell in World of Warcraft, it has made limited appearances. It works similarly to how it does in Warcraft 3, but sometimes with additional effects. When Khazad-dûm the Wavebinder uses it, for example, enemies that come within Big Bad Voodoo's radius are hexed. Finally, we're taking a quick look at Serpent Ward. It started as another of the Shadowhunter's abilities in Warcraft 3. Coincidentally, the other Shadowhunter spells later became Shaman abilities, excluding Big Bad Voodoo. Healing Wave and Hex became techniques in World of Warcraft for Shaman, and Serpent Ward has been given a Shaman flavour in Hearthstone by belonging to the Totem tribe. These immobile wards would be placed down by Shadowhunters in the midst of battle. An ethereal snake would rise from where the ward was placed and batter its enemies with what appeared to be red lightning. Vol'Jin made use of the ability in World of Warcraft, and Shaman characters could use a glyph to make their flame tongue totems look like serpent wards, though the ability to do this was removed in the Legion expansion. Players can still summon a serpent ward using Vol'Jin's serpent totem toy, but this totem can only be used to attack critters, though I'm sure those adorable WoW squirrels all deserve to die, with their beady little eyes, fluffy tails and twitchy shifty noses. So, there you have it, another quickie. Hot lore action right in your lap. Or what other surface you're viewing your laptop or desktop on. Could be using a phone, or a tablet, or a projector. Or you could have drawn the entire episode out in a flipbook. I'm reaching now. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, as it helps me out no end. And until next time, happy Hearthstoning.